Sounds like church now, right? We're good? Now he's got to test it. Ready? I'd like to call this meeting of the Jamestown City Council to order on a February 28th voting session. The clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Sheldon.
Here.
Brackman.
Here.
Karuba.
Here.
Reynolds.
Present.
Faulkner.
Here.
Eklund. Here. DeVersa.
Here.
Russell.
Here.
President Dole.
Here. This time we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Please remain standing for the invocation. Today will be given by the Reverend Luke Fedor of St. Luke's Episcopal Church.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In every ancient language of prayer, the word for breath and spirit is the same. Whether it's Sanskrit, or Hebrew, or Hindi, they're all the same. So I invite you, before we say words of prayer, to breathe with me and to pray with me. So breathe in, and breathe out. Breathe in wisdom. Breathe out folly. Breathe in love. Breathe out fear. Breathe in peace. And breathe out anxiety. Breathe in life. And breathe out death. Let us pray. Almighty God, send down upon those who hold office in this city of Jamestown the spirit of wisdom, charity, and justice as they deliberate and vote this evening. Fill them with your grace, Holy One, so they may communicate with kindness and compassion, with a steadfast purpose that they may faithfully serve in their offices to promote the well-being of all people. We ask this in your most humble name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Do I have approval of the minutes of the January 31st voting session? So moved by Councilwoman Eklund. Do we have any messages from the mayor?
We do. Dear council members, in February 2022, we have welcomed one new employee to the city of Jamestown, Grant Cheney, Department of Public Works. I'm asking that this new hire be acknowledged and welcomed to the city at the February 28, 2022 City Council meeting. Very truly yours, Edward A. Sandquist. We also have several appointments. Council members, in pursuance of the authority vested in me by the charter of said city, I do hereby nominate Todd Thomas, 115 Arcade Avenue, Jamestown, to be appointed a member of the Zoning Board of Appeals in and for the city of Jamestown, New York, to fill the unexpired term of Stephen Sorg, retired, effective February 28, 2022. The term for which said appointments to be made will expire December 31st of 2022. In pursuance of the authority vested in me by the charter of said city, I do hereby nominate Tamu Graham Reinhardt, 419 Crosman Street, Jamestown, to be appointed a member of the Board of Public Utilities in and for the city of Jamestown, New York. The term for which said appointment is to be made will expire December 31st, 2023. Thomas Nelson, 21 Hunter Street, Jamestown, to be appointed a member of the Board of Public Utilities in and for the city of Jamestown, New York. The term for which said appointment is to be made will expire December 31st, 2025. Council members, in pursuance of the authority vested in me by the charter of said city, I do hereby nominate Peter Maraglia, 29 Gwendolyn Avenue, Mary Maxwell, 16 Fullerton Avenue, and Tamara Dickey, 18 West 10th Street, to be appointed as members of the Property Rehabilitation and Conservation Board of Appeals in and for the city of Jamestown, New York. The term for which said appointment is to be made will expire December 31st, 2024. Edward A. Sandquist.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to suspend the rules this evening?
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Sheldon. The clerk, please poll council on the resolution.
Sure. Councilmember Sheldon.
Aye.
Brackman.
Aye.
Karuba.
Aye.
Reynolds.
Aye.
Faulkner.
Aye.
Eklund.
Aye.
DeVersa.
Aye.
Russell.
Aye.
President Dole.
Aye. Do I have a resolution or sponsor for the appointments? So moved by Councilman Sheldon. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Sheldon.
Aye.
Brackman. Aye. Karuba.
Aye.
Reynolds.
Aye.
Faulkner. Eklund. Aye. DeVersa.
Aye.
Russell.
Aye.
President Jones.
Aye. So the appointments are approved. At this point, we'll have opportunities for persons to address the council. If you would like to, please step up to one of the mics. You have 5 minutes. Please state your name and your home address. Anyone like to address the council this evening?
Good evening, council members. I'm Sam Piazza. I'm the Common Club PBA president. Just want to discuss the American Rescue Plan funding again. This plan could be allocated to use monies to help the police department. I'd like to see a resolution brought forward by a council member to increase the number of police officers that we currently have. If this is done, we can start a specialized unit, an anti-gun unit, a specialized street crimes unit. We could try to remove more guns from the streets. Even if you don't remove guns, the higher amount of officers that you see on the street, it also is a deterrent for that. I've been here 15 years. I understand the costs associated with hiring police officers. I know the budgetary issues behind it. Again, if we hire them now, several years from now, there's going to be retirements coming forward. You can get rid of those officers to attrition, or you don't have to lay anybody off. Again, I would like a council member to bring this forward. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to address the council this evening?
I'm Doug Champ. I live at 225 Bowen Street, Jamestown, New York. I want to echo what Lieutenant Piazza has just stated. And what I'm reading again, I'm going to continue to read this to bore you to death, and I don't really care at this point. For the regs and the rules that are in the Federal Register for the administration of the American Rescue Plan funding. These are terms that, are used throughout. Enumerated eligible uses that respond to an increase in gun violence may be pursued in communities experiencing an increase in gun violence. That's a speech impediment there, I'm sorry. Experiencing an increase in gun violence associated with the pandemic specifically. This is what you can do. Hiring law enforcement officials, even above pandemic levels, or paying overtime where the funds are directly focused on advancing community policing strategies for gun violence. Additional enforcement efforts to reduce gun violence exacerbated by the pandemic, including prosecuting gun traffickers, dealers, and other parties contributing to supply of crime guns, as well as collaboration with federal, state, and local officials to identify and address gun trafficking. And 3, investing in the technology and equipment and effectively respond to the rising gun. For example, technology to assist in identification of guns whose serial numbers have been damaged. I'm not an anti-gun guy. I've been trained on everything from 22s to 50 calibers. I had my gun concealed permit longer than some of you have been alive. What I'm against is gun violence by people. I don't think there's any drug trafficking that doesn't go on with an association with a firearm. We're all against drugs, and we should be. But when they're compatible with a gun, and it's used illegally, we should all have a problem with this. This decision on public safety between the administration and city council has got to end. We're all in this together. It's our community. It's not one or the other. So here you have the legislation that allows you to do this. What is the problem? I gave my famous untouchable speech the last time about what you're prepared to do. Well, I hope that you're prepared to do something about this, because the overtime costs, and I'll ask the chief this, and he can more directly answer to the city council. How much are you paying on overtime associated with gun violence since March of 2021? Thousands of dollars? Thousands of dollars. Any idea what the thousands of dollars is? No. Okay. You're paying for that through the general fund right now. You can pay for that through this. I don't care. I'd like to see more officers. I'd like to see more firemen, whatever. We can work that out. But what we can do is prepare for something that's coming. That's the next violent gun use. So trafficking exists, guns are here, they will continue to be here. So I'm asking you to think about how you want to frame the use of these funds to protect the citizens of Jamestown public safety with gun violence, especially when it's identified within the regs and a perfect example to use this for. Let's get on with it. The other thing that I want to talk about as you approach the acknowledgement of the use of American Rescue Plans outside of the $10 million and the $18 million plus is used, there are certain things that I sent you, and I hope you really are allowed to read, hope you will read all of that, because you don't have to listen to what I have to say. And you don't have to trust the administration to tell you what you need to do. You're all in this together. It's up to you to read what's in there to determine what you can do. A quote from the regs. A recipient, I'll say the city of Jamestown, should assess whether and the extent to which there has been economic harm, such as loss of earnings or revenue that resulted from the COVID-19 public health emergency, and whether and the extent to which the use of funding is deemed necessary. If it doesn't fit, you can't wear the glove. So when you go through these acknowledgments of what is eligible and what should be done with this very precious money, if it doesn't fit, you can't use it. Now, it should not also come in block formats. You must identify each one. In other words, right down to the recipient, which is a city, onto the beneficiaries, which is the users, or subrecipient. That's all in a formula. So I ask all of you to make sure that you read that and equate that to what's happening with this money. Because if you don't, we're not doing our due diligence. And I have every confidence in Ryan Thompson and his ability to control the outflow and the use of these funds. But I want to be sure what comes to him is the right program, the right projects, and they're eligible. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the council this evening?
My name is John Zabrowski. I live at 2 Timber Lane in Jamestown. Mr. Doles, a member of the City Council, thank you for this opportunity to make a public comment this evening. First of all, I'd like to thank the City of Jamestown for lighting the city halls in the colors of Ukraine. As a first-generation American of Ukrainian extraction, the symbolism is strong and delivers the appropriate message that freedom is a core value to all people. With a grandfather and father and family, all persecuted by the Soviets and then the Nazis, we must all, as Americans, reflect on the freedoms fought for and won by our country and how fragile that freedom is when we become complacent or engage in stupid and meaningless discourse that only serves to divide us as the proud nation and exceptional nation we are. At the last City Council meeting, during the public commentary on January 31st, 2022, I asked the question, why is the assessor full market value at an equalization rate on the City of Jamestown property tax bill? I received a very comprehensive and prompt response from Lisa Volpe, the city assessor. Thank you for that prompt and comprehensive response. But the responses were basically an outline in support of contemplating another full value assessment and did not answer the question as to why the full market value with an equalization rate appears on the property tax bills. If you look at figures 1A, 1B, and 1C on the handout I gave you, you'll note that between figures 1A and 1B, the equalization rate only appears for the first time with the 2020 property tax bills, as the 2019 bills have the full value at 100%. The 2006 revaluation was supposed to index the selling price of the property to the property tax paid, thus averting the need for a costly and time-consuming revaluation process. Overall, 16 years have passed, and the city has operated under this premise during that time span. The state controller, in his many reviews and evaluation of the financial condition of the city of Jamestown in the past 10 years, has not recommended a revaluation. The last time a revaluation was completed in Jamestown prior to 2006 was 1973. As was noted most recently in the Post-Journal on May 17, 2016. Spending $285,000 now doesn't seem like a wise expenditure given the fact that there is a market-based process in place to adjust the valuation of the properties in Jamestown. Also, at a time when Jamestown needs to be and present a competitive, outward-facing appearance to the rest of the country, doing a revaluation that will essentially be a property tax increase does not seem prudent or in the best interest of the property taxpayers of Jamestown. But my question remains unanswered. Why is the assessor full market value and equalization rate of the city of Jamestown property tax? The taxable value is already noted on the property tax bill at least 4 times, and as is noted in the figures presented. If it doesn't serve a purpose, then it should be removed. A second question that I've got for this evening is, the decision and announcement to clear cut all of the cathedral oaks on West 3rd Street was made in about 2 weeks between November and December of 2019. Since then, the city has sat on its thumbs with no communication or transparency regarding the next steps regarding this matter. Figure 3, 4, and 5 represent an entire group of pictures that I can make available to the city council in the city. A couple of independent arborists reviewed all of these pictures and found no evidence of disease in all but one of the trees. Figure 5 represents a tree that was cut down on the corner of 3rd and Hall, south side of the street, that was much younger than the rest of the trees and definitely not diseased. The clear cutting of these trees represented real damage to the property taxpayers of the west side in terms of property values, given the beautiful and majestic entrance to the city that was destroyed. Further, there was a lot of no standing signs that were put up, just adding to the blight there. My question to the council is, when will the city of Jamestown announce when it will replant the oak trees on West 3rd Street? And finally, as a city resident, we enjoy a spectacular park system for a town of our size. Between the city and the school district, we have hundreds of acres of parkland. The percentage of parkland in Jamestown compared to that of Lakewood, for example, is greater in terms of a ratio, in terms of the overall acreage to the overall acreage of the town itself. And certainly the absolute number of acres is much greater than any other municipality in Shawfut County, and I would dare say in most of the southern tier. If you look at figure 2, Bergman Park Field 1 was completely ignored in terms of upkeep in 2021. This is ostensibly the area that the city is considering for a fenced-in dog park. Given the feces cleanup and smell from an enclosed quarter-acre or half-acre dog park, and placing it at the main entrance to the park, this initiative needs to be thoroughly thought through, especially at a price tag in the range of $100,000. Bergman Park, as was noted throughout the late summer and early fall last year by a number of city council members, is the gem of the park system. There are many other parks in the city that could be used if there's a real need for a fenced-in dog park. Jones and Gifford comes to mind. There must be a considered option for all of this for the citizens of Jamestown. But again, we have hundreds of acres of parkland in the city. The question to the city council and the city government is, why do we need a dog park at all, anywhere in the city of Jamestown? Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to address the council? Seeing none, we have a correspondence that needs to be read.
We received this correspondence from Tommy and Laura as it was published in the Post-Journal today, and he asked that it was read into the record this evening. I look around Jamestown and I wonder if our city leaders have a plan for what they would like Jamestown housing to look like in 10 years. There are plenty of zombie houses in town, condemned and empty, boarded up. There are also zombie houses where there are people living. Some of these properties have no electricity or water. I wonder if the city leaders have a plan for this problem. 30% of the town live under the national poverty level. That is double the national average. Jamestown has a housing crisis, not a housing problem, a crisis. I have been writing about housing in town for the past several years. I have met with the mayor and the director of development to share my concerns. They have been very open to hearing my thoughts, and I understand these are very difficult issues to fix. I am often told when I ask about grants for homeowners that there are very few out there. That could well be true. While the downtown has been flush with grants for years, the residents in town who are middle class or lower middle class and who are homeowners struggling to keep up with home repairs. I know I am. I am always told, we are so sorry, but these grants for downtown, millions and millions of taxpayer dollars, must be spent downtown. Try again next year. Now it's time to say homeowners in Jamestown have been overlooked too long. Now with the American Rescue Act, the city of Jamestown has $28 million to invest in the city. This money can be used for housing. The mayor and the DOD and the council are currently doling the money out. When the people of the city were asked what they wanted the money to go for, the number one answer was housing. Then came transportation and mental health programs. So far, none of these priorities have been addressed. Homeowners don't seem to be a priority. The mayor has allocated $10 million of the $28 million for, quote, businesses. That is more than a third of the money. Housing/mental health is budgeted at $5 million. Businesses are having a hard time, but they have many grant programs available to help them. One example is you can look online at the PPP taxpayer money that was given out in Jamestown. It was money to help businesses with COVID problems. There are 17 pages of businesses that have received money in Jamestown alone. The numbers are in the public domain. Now, if you are a homeowner, please tell me what help you received. I'm suggesting that businesses have gotten their share of money. Nonprofits have gotten their share. Downtown has gotten its share. Now it's time for homeowners to receive theirs. If not now, when? When is the next $28 million going to drop into Jamestown? Here are my suggestions for how to spend the rest of the money. Get creative. Give zero of this pot of money to businesses. Give zero of the money for downtown events. There was $1 million allocated for downtown events. The Christmas parade and other events for the people of Jamestown have already been funded. So what is an extra million for? We all know the answer. The usual downtown suspects. Downtown has had its share. It's like a monster that we continue to feed, yet we do not get the expected results. I'm tired of my taxpayer money paying for facades and sidewalks and roofs and other gifts businesses in town receive. Instead of making housing a priority, the powers that be have left it for last. I propose the council and mayor be bold and use up to $15 million of the money to be given directly to homeowners who own one property to help the homeowner with upkeep. It would come from the $10 million for businesses and the $5 million already allocated. It would be given out based on age, income, and need. That would fix hundreds of roofs and facades and other problems homeowners struggle with. That is a real investment in the town. You are going to say, quote, this cannot be done. My reply is, quote, yes, it can. Instead, the council is considering creating more of a tax burden for the homeowner by reassessing homes, and they are using this money to do it. I understand, of course, we need police cars and ambulances. I am all for that funding. I wonder, however, why all these vehicles are all old at the same time. The council is using this money to make repairs that perhaps should have been paid for years ago. Where has our tax money been going the past 10 years? These vehicles are going to be old and will need to be replaced in 10 years. If we give $10 million to, quote, business, will we be guaranteed a return? Is it just throwing more money into the void? A $15 million investment in housing will last much longer. Jamestown is at a tipping point with housing. Which way will it tip? It may already be too late to save the housing in Jamestown. Do we want to see the same zombie houses standing the way they are now in 10 years? Do we want the creep of zombie houses to spread? Because it will. Unless we do something soon, in 10 years we are going to have a town with a shiny downtown, few tourists, and housing stock that is too far gone to save. Thank you, Tom Andalora, 11 West 8th Street, Jamestown.
Thank you. This time we move on to report from standing committees. We go to our finance committee. Councilman Riggle will read the first 9 resolutions.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a resolution authorizing payment of the regular audit.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Clerk, please poll the council.
Councilmember Sheldon?
Aye.
Brockman?
Aye.
Karuba?
Aye.
Reynolds?
Aye.
Faulkner?
Aye.
Eklund?
Aye.
DeVersa?
Aye.
Russell?
Aye.
President Wolf?
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a resolution authorizing the mayor and Jeffrey Lehman, professional engineer, to enter into an agreement with Stark Esco, 2663 3rd Avenue, Faulkner, New York, 14733, for the penthouse coil project in an amount not to exceed $110,000 and no cents subject to the approval of Corporation Council as to form.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Clerk, please poll the council.
Councilmember Sheldon?
Aye.
Brackman?
Aye.
Karuba?
Aye.
Reynolds?
Aye.
Faulkner?
Aye.
Eklund? Diversa?
Aye.
Russell?
Aye.
President Bowles?
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a resolution authorizing Sergeant Adam McKinley and Detective Ronald Powers to attend the New York State Homeland Security and Emergency Services Tactical Team Leadership Forum to be held in Saratoga Springs, New York, from March 2nd through March 4th, 2022, with expenses paid pursuant to Section 77-D of the General Municipal Law.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Clerk, please poll the council.
Councilmember Sheldon?
Aye.
Brackman? Karuba?
Aye.
Reynolds?
Aye.
Faulkner?
Aye.
Eklund? Diversa?
Aye.
Russell?
Aye.
President Bowles?
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a resolution suspending the hiring freeze and filling the following positions: 4 full-time firefighters to fill current and anticipated vacancies in the Jamestown Fire Department, funding included in the 2022 general fund budget.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Clerk, please poll the council.
Councilmember Sheldon?
Aye.
Brackman? Karuba?
Aye.
Reynolds?
Aye.
Faulkner?
Aye.
Eklund? Diversa?
Aye.
Russell?
Aye.
President Bowles?
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a resolution suspending the hiring freeze and filling the following positions: 1 full-time laborer in the Parks, Recreation, and Conservation Department due to a vacancy created by a retirement.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Clerk, please poll the council.
Councilmember Sheldon?
Aye.
Brackman? Karuba?
Aye.
Reynolds?
Aye.
Faulkner?
Aye.
Eklund? Diversa?
Aye.
Russell?
Aye.
President Bowles?
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a resolution designating $36,075.00 in American Rescue Plan Act lost revenue funds for the purpose of funding information technology, infrastructure, and networking equipment upgrades.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Clerk, please poll the council.
Councilmember Sheldon?
Aye.
Brackman? Karuba?
Aye.
Reynolds?
Aye.
Faulkner?
Aye.
Eklund? Diversa?
Aye.
Russell?
Aye.
President Bowles?
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a resolution designating $285,000.00 in American Rescue Plan Act lost revenue funds for the purpose of performing a real property revaluation in the city of Jamestown.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Clerk, please poll the council.
Councilmember Sheldon?
Nay.
Brackman?
Nay.
Karuba?
Nay.
Reynolds?
Nay.
Faulkner?
Nay.
Eklund?
Nay.
Diversa?
Nay.
Russell?
Nay.
President Bowles?
Nay.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a resolution authorizing the mayor and assessor Lisa Volpe to enter into an agreement with Gar Associates, Inc., 5500 Main Street, Suite 347, Williamsville, New York, 14221, for revaluation services in an amount not to exceed $285,000.00, subject to the approval of Corporation Council as to form.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Clerk, please poll the council.
Councilmember Sheldon?
Nay.
Brackman?
Nay.
Karuba?
Nay.
Reynolds?
Nay.
Faulkner?
Nay.
Eklund? Diversa?
Nay.
Russell?
Nay.
And President Bowles?
Nay.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a resolution accepting the offer of $200.00 from Deborah Monroe for the purchase of parcel 370.19-8-2 located on Lakeview Avenue, and authorizing the mayor to execute a deed on said property, subject to the approval of Corporation Council as to form.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Clerk, please poll the council.
Councilmember Sheldon?
Aye.
Brackman? Karuba?
Aye.
Reynolds?
Aye.
Faulkner?
Aye.
Eklund? Diversa?
Aye.
Russell?
Aye.
President Bowles?
Aye. The next 7 resolutions, with the 7-8, will be read by the Chair of the Finance Committee, Councilwoman Eklund.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a resolution authorizing the City Controller, Ryan Thompson, to make the following amendment to the 2022 general fund budget to replace the parks boiler as follows. Increase appropriations parks equipment A.7110.0200 $5,300.00. Decrease appropriations to the contingent account A.1990.0400, $5,300 and no cents.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Clerk, please poll the council.
Councilmember Sheldon.
Aye.
Brackman. Karuba.
Aye.
Reynolds.
Aye.
Faulkner.
Aye.
Eklund.
Aye.
DeVersa.
Aye.
Russell.
Aye.
President Bose.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a resolution authorizing the mayor and Jeffrey Lehman, P.E., to purchase one 2021 Prinoth sidewalk plow from Sincon Equipment Incorporated, 7494 West Henrietta Road, Rush, New York, 14543, in an amount not to exceed $153,259.00, subject to the approval of the Corporation Council as to form.
Thank you. Any questions or comments?
Yeah, just to note that this is the actual purchase of the equipment from the ARPA funding that was approved last month.
Any other comments? If not, clerk, please poll the council.
Councilmember Sheldon.
Aye.
Brackman. Karuba.
Aye.
Reynolds.
Aye.
Faulkner.
Aye.
Eklund.
Aye.
DeVersa.
Aye.
Russell.
Aye.
President Bose.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a resolution designating $30,000 and no cents in American Rescue Plan Act lost revenue funds for the purpose of purchasing and installing Marco Clay Washington ball field mix to reconstruct and improve playing surfaces on 6 of the city's baseball and softball fields.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Clerk, please poll the council.
Councilmember Sheldon.
Aye.
Brackman. Karuba.
Aye.
Reynolds.
Aye.
Faulkner.
Aye.
Eklund.
Aye.
DeVersa.
Aye.
Russell.
Aye.
President Bose.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a grant agreement with the Chautauqua Watershed Conservancy, 71 East Fairmount Avenue, Lakewood, New York, 14750, for Phase 1 of the Chautauqua River Project in an amount not to exceed $277,500 and no cents, subject to the approval of the Corporation Council as to form. Again, this is a payment from the ARPA funding approved last month.
Any other comments or questions? Clerk, please poll the council.
Councilmember Sheldon.
Aye.
Brackman. Karuba.
Aye.
Reynolds.
Aye.
Faulkner.
Aye.
Eklund.
Aye.
DeVersa.
Aye.
Russell.
Aye.
President Bose.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a resolution designating $14,000 and no cents in American Rescue Plan Act lost revenue funds for the purpose of purchasing hand dryers for all of the Jamestown City Parks bathrooms.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Clerk, please poll the council.
Councilmember Sheldon.
Aye.
Brackman. Karuba.
Aye.
Reynolds.
Aye.
Faulkner.
Aye.
Eklund.
Aye.
DeVersa.
Aye.
Russell.
Aye.
President Bose.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a resolution designating $180,000 and no cents in American Rescue Plan Act lost revenue funds for the purpose of purchasing new playground equipment for Nordstrom Park and installing a new 5-foot wide handicap accessible path to the playground.
Any questions or comments? Clerk, please poll the council.
Councilmember Sheldon.
Aye.
Brackman. Karuba.
Aye.
Reynolds.
Aye.
Faulkner.
Aye.
Eklund.
Aye.
DeVersa.
Aye.
Russell.
Aye.
President Bose.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a resolution designating $30,000 and no cents in American Rescue Plan Act lost revenue funds for the purpose of purchasing and installing new signage at the City of Jamestown parks.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Clerk, please poll the council.
Councilmember Sheldon.
Aye.
Brackman. Karuba.
Aye.
Reynolds.
Aye.
Faulkner.
Aye.
Eklund.
Aye.
DeVersa.
Aye.
Russell.
Aye.
President Bose.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a resolution designating $7,000 and no cents of American Rescue Plan Transparency and Tracking Funds and authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Vineski and Company for ARPA consulting services.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Clerk, please poll the council.
Councilmember Sheldon.
Aye.
Brackman. Karuba.
Aye.
Reynolds.
Aye.
Faulkner.
Aye.
Eklund.
Aye.
DeVersa.
Aye.
Russell.
Aye.
President Bose.
Aye. That concludes our resolutions from our standing committees. Are there any reports of special committees? Any report of city officers? Report from councilmen on administrative boards? Report. Any unfinished business? We do have 4 resolutions on the new business. The first one will be read and sponsored by Councilwoman Eklund.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a resolution designating up to $200,000 in the American Rescue Plan Act Economic Development Funds for the purpose of funding a small business grant program to be targeted toward restaurant, retail, and personal service businesses to be administered through the Jamestown Local Development Corporation, JLDC, by the Jamestown Urban Renewal Agency.
Thank you. Any questions or comments?
Just Mr. Diltz is not Mr. Mayor.
Sorry. I was reading before I was speaking. Sorry, President Dole. Sorry, Mr. Mayor.
That's fine.
Nothing personal intended.
Any other questions or comments?
I didn't catch you said it.
Yeah. Clerk, please poll the council.
Councilmember Sheldon?
Aye.
Brackman?
Nay.
Karuba?
Aye.
Reynolds?
Aye.
Faulkner?
Aye.
Eklund?
Aye.
Diversa?
Aye.
Russell?
Aye.
And President Dole?
Aye. Resolutions 19, 20, and 21 have been tabled and pulled for this evening for further discussion. They have to do with the American Rescue Plan funds through the Department of Development. And it's not that the council's opposed to them, they just want some further discussion on that, and we'll be picking that back up in the next few weeks. So we'll be coming back to that. So that is resolutions under new business. Is there any other new business tonight to come before the council? I just wanted to respond to Mr. Zabrowski, since he did bring pictures and did ask questions about 3rd Street, and they did have a conversation today with Dan Stone, and I know that there's a plan, I know that has been discussed at the BPU. I don't have all the info, but I don't know if the mayor wants to add to that. I know that there are going to be adding some new lighting, new electrical lights there, as well as curbing and sidewalks, and then obviously replanting trees. So I don't know if you have any more timeline or any more information. I think it wants to answer that.
Sure thing, President Dole's happy to answer that question. So our team, along with the BPU, has been working diligently to try to come up with a plan for that area, which does include, as you had mentioned, new sidewalks, running electrical lines underneath sidewalks and road, as well as new trees, and new scaping. We are working on having a public meeting to provide opportunity for the residents of that area to give some feedback on a draft plan. Council should expect to see a draft plan, I believe, at the next work session. And then we'll be holding a public meeting after that. So neighbors in that area should be expecting, should be seeing door hangers for those who would like to come locally to that ward, that area, to come see the plan, talk about it, discuss it, and give us some feedback.
Very good, thank you. Any other new business come before the council? Seeing none, meeting adjourned.